Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular town council meeting for the town of Southern Shores. We're here on Tuesday, December the 6th, 2022. Glad to see everybody joining us this evening. If you would all please now rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. If we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Before we start, wanted to let everyone know that Councilmember Paula Sherlock is not able to be with us this evening. She is dealing with family medical issues, and we wish her and her family all the best. She is listening in, I believe, on this meeting. Council, do we have any adjustments, or can I hear a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Council, we have a consent agenda consisting of 3 items. Tax pickups and releases, consideration of a resolution to become a member of the American Flood Coalition, and approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Any problem with motion to approve the consent agenda?
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I'm very excited right now to make a presentation to one of our own. Could Officer Jamie Hines please join me at the front? Good evening, Jamie. This is our certificate of appreciation for your, I can't believe it, 5 years of service for the town of Southern Shores. We want to just thank you for everything that you do for our town. We couldn't be a town without our wonderful law enforcement officers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
He's a new dad.
Your life changed.
All right, well, moving right along to our staff reports, we have our Deputy Town Manager, Wes Haskett. He's also our Planning Director. Good evening, Wes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Tonight, report for the month of November. There were a total of 51 permits that were issued, and they consisted of 12 zoning permits, 24 building permits. 3 of those were for new construction, 15 trade permits, and the total amount of fees collected was $18,492.60. With respect to November code enforcement, there were 8 warning citations mailed, and all of those were mailed for solid waste ordinance violations. Those are still out there. With respect to the land use plan update, the project page on the town website has been updated. It's updated periodically, so you can check back every now and then and see what new has been added. And we are currently reviewing the draft survey. The survey will most likely be finalized within the next week, and we'll be posting it on the project webpage. We will also include a link to the survey in at least 2 town newsletters. The plan is to run the survey for a month. So if that's the case, we should be able to get 2, maybe 3 newsletters as well. So that's where we stand with the land use plan update. And lastly, with respect to the planning board, they'll be meeting here on December 19th at 5 o'clock. The purpose is to consider variance application VA-22-02, which was an application submitted by Carrie and Denise Skinner to seek relief from Town Code Section 36-202B5C at the property located at 36 Gingite Trail. The board will also discuss the possibility of transferring the Martins Point commercial properties in the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction, also known as ETJ, to Dare County for planning and zoning purposes. If time allows, the board may also consider TCA 22-04, a town code amendment application submitted by the town to amend Town Code Section 1-13, conflicts of interest. And this is another North Carolina General Statute 160D reference. And lastly, if there's time, the board may also continue discussion of potential commercial design standards. With respect to the marketplace and the work that's taking place out there today, the slab was finished. So the slab is finished for both Rack Room and Marshalls. They're also still working in the parking lot. They've put down several sections of the permeable pavement, permeable pavers. So things are still progressing out there. Any questions?
On the land use survey that we're going to send out, that's going to go electronically?
There will be the option to do it electronically. There will be the option for folks to print it and fill it out and mail it to the town or drop it off at town, or they can come to town hall and fill it out. Whatever's convenient for folks. We want as many people as possible to participate.
We'll advertise it every way we can.
Yes, sir.
Make sure we get good participation. Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. All right. Thank you, Wes.
Any other questions for Wes? Thank you, sir. Very
Thank you.
busy time,
Yes.
considering it's the holiday season, but thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll keep on keeping on. Our police chief, Chief David Cole. Good evening, Chief.
Evening, Mayor, members of council. The police report for November 2022. As you can see, we had 1,617 calls for service. That's 198 more than we had last year in November. On the breakdown of incidents which were crimes that were reported, you can see that we had 13 of those. 2 were a larceny. 1 was we recovered a stolen vehicle. A fraud, 2 drug-related equipment. We had 4 call-outs for the K-9 where we located drugs. 1 domestic, 1 communicating threats, and 1 warrant, and 1 obscene material. Under the criminal arrest, we had 3, 1 for the possession of the stolen vehicle, 2 for the drugs, and 1 on the warrant. Officers conducted 84 traffic stops for the month of November, and they wrote 8 citations for a total of 11 charges, and they wrote another 33 warning citations for a total of 34 charges. Bless you. We also had 3 reportable motor vehicle accidents for the month of November. Hopefully next month, we will try to get some pictures and some information together for the fall carnival that we participated in. That was a pretty big event, and the weather was pretty nice too. Any questions, comments?
The speeding, was that out here? on Ocean-
Pardon?
The 15 speeding, were they on Ocean Boulevard?
The majority of them are on Ocean Boulevard. Yeah.
And is it related to the new speed limit, you think?
Yeah. A lot of them just speed all the time anyway, so, yeah. Yeah, we gave them leeway for about a month, but that's since gone.
The dance is over. Huh?
That's right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Cole. Our fire chief, Chief Limbacher. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Pretty short report for you tonight. For the month of November, the fire department responded to 51 calls. That's actually 11 ahead of last year, but basically 1 structure fire, 1 cooking fire, which was basically some microwave in or popcorn in a microwave that caused some smoke in the building. 1 brush fire, 1 dumpster fire, 31 medical calls, 4 public or service calls, 6 public service, which is basically a lot of our activities, the Santa Paws that we had, the open house, things like that. And then 5 alarms. Again, 51 calls for the month of November, which is typical of this year, so, for this time of year. So, any questions?
I was just going to ask, I noticed on the other part of the report, there was about 5 false alarms. something like that?
5 alarms you talking about?
They were
Where are you talking about? Go back, Sheila.
false
Oh,
alarms and false
call.
calls.
Yeah, those
yeah,
are just miscellaneous alarms. Some are batteries. A lot of times these new, for some reason, John's Brothers, now whenever you take the batteries out to change the batteries in a smoke alarm, it's tripping the alarm and the people aren't really realizing. So we're getting to some of them, but that's typical of this time of year. So
Okay, so that wasn't
False
unusual.
alarm.
no, it's
Okay.
pretty typical.
Almost
Thank you.
10%.
All right.
Any other questions for Chief Limbacher? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it so much. Now we'll hear from our town manager, Cliff Ogburn. Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, thank you. Just a few things. One, wanted to let folks know that with the help of town staff, the SSCA and Better Beaches, we're going to start planning to plant quite a lot of beach grass coming up. The Beach Nourishment Project had about $100,000 worth of sand fence that'll go up as part of the project. That is scheduled to happen through a separate contractor later this month. And then we'll be working, thankfully, Better Beaches, who I think you know is a group of volunteers that have been planting beach grass along the northern beaches for quite a while. And the SSCA is going to join in with their volunteers, and hopefully we can get this stuff planted in short order. We also want to let you know we've talked about trying to get the Public Works building, some improvements done to that building. It's the inside is, there needs to be conditioned space. There's not. There needs to be upgrade to the Public Works office as well as the bathrooms. And so we're working on a plan, hopefully, to have some bids together and be able to present this as a possible project sometime the first of the year. We also, last week, we authorized the survey work for the sidewalk that's going to go in on the east side of Duck Road. As you all know, we're fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Tourist Bureau to pay for hopefully half of that project. And so we've a lot of survey work to do from the triangle up to East Dogwood. So we've initiated that. There's a lot of activity going on. You all remember the wind farms in Bohm, and I just encourage folks to look up and the Bohm, the wind project right here off of Kitty Hawk. Not right here off of Kitty Hawk, a decent amount of ways off of Kitty Hawk. But there's a lot of opportunity, I think, coming up for public input and comment. So there's just been some activity and movement there. The first of the year, we're hoping also that we can get going on putting together the next package of street improvements. We'd like to put out we've got in our plan quite a bit of overlay work to do. But we think we can incorporate some additional work into that. So we're anxious to tackle that at the first of the year. And take the opportunity now to wish you all a very Merry Christmas on behalf of the staff. And thank you for a great year.
Any questions for Cliff? Let's see, the acronym is BOEM, and it's the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, for anyone who was wondering what he was saying when he said BOEM. That's what it is. So thank you, Cliff. Appreciate it. We will now hear from our town attorney, Philip.
I don't have anything to report, except a couple things on Beach Nourishment. We had hearings yesterday before Judge Tillett. There were only 2 properties that we were not able to voluntarily resolve through an easement. 2 property owners did not respond, and so we had default judgment entered yesterday by Judge Tillett in those 2 matters that essentially codified the easement. We had the easement from the day we filed suit under law, but it codified the easement and it ordered that the $50 deposits be paid to those property owners. And we've sent those filed judgments off to be recorded with the Register of Deeds so that it just run with the land. The other thing is the bridge lawsuit that's pending in the federal circuit, Fourth Circuit in Richmond. Oral arguments are going to be this Friday. The general public typically is welcome to attend, but as I've told some of you guys, with some of the COVID restrictions they're still under in Richmond, it may or may not be easy to get in, but if anyone's interested in attending, I suggest to just call clerk's office at the Fourth Circuit in Richmond and asking about attending. We were not invited to attend, that those that wrote the amicus brief. That's not unusual. Just the parties' lawyers will be there. That's it.
I just have a quick follow-up question about the beach nourishment easements, the fact that we only took two to the judge. Can you give a rough idea of how many we got signed regularly in the easy way,
Sure.
roughly?
Got it.
I'm making a somewhat of an educated guess here, but I think it's about 120 easements.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's close enough. I just wondered. So that's pretty good
It was great. Clip did a great
efficiency
job.
of getting,
Yeah.
yeah, and it did take a lot of work from town staff. We want to thank town staff for doing that.
Yeah, their office did a great job. And in fact, we had one of the two we had to get judgments against has been in contact with the town, but kept making promises to bring the document in signed and just never got around to it. We couldn't wait.
Very good. Thank you, Phil. Anybody else have any questions for Philip?
And just for the record,
Yeah.
we waited until the last session of Dare County Superior Court in the year to do it, so.
We gave people plenty of time.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. All right, that's all the staff reports. We will move on to general public comment. We have some folks that have signed up. Mr. Peabody, if you would come up to the podium and state your name and your address, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
My name is Tom Peabody. I've got a house on 13 Sixth Avenue that I built in 1984 on a lot that my father had bought from his good friend David Stick. It's 750 feet back from the dune line in MSD2. I brought a copy of the MSD2 map so you can refresh yourselves on the depth of MSD2. It's 13 lots deep on the 9th Avenue. MSD2 is 1 lot deep, starting at the pier all the way up to Triangle Park. 1 lot deep versus 13 lot deep in the upper avenues. So I stand before council to speak against a flawed plan for beach nourishment above 3rd Avenue. Only now I have the clear lens of hindsight, but my message today is exactly the same as my March 2021 exclusion request that was denied. These are the facts. Council commissioned Aptim to conduct a multi-year beach vulnerability and erosion engineering study in 2017. Council rejected the 2019 Aptim final report that called for no beach nourishment above 3rd Avenue. No beach nourishment above 3rd Avenue. Council invented an unscientific sufficient width beach 3rd goal after the final report was issued to include north of 3rd Avenue. Council paid extra in 2021 for Aptim to rewrite their report to add the 3rd goal and call for nourishing the beach north of 3rd Avenue. Council drew an incredibly unfair MSD2 map for the upper avenues, 13 lots deep at 9th Avenue versus 1 lot deep on the lower portion of the beach. Council ignored my tax exclusion request specific for the issue of nourishment north of 3rd Avenue, saying that if they accepted it, they would have to apply the same exclusion to all other properties north of 3rd Avenue. Council issued an unfair set of bid documents with only a token amount of sand north of 3rd Avenue, less than a third of the amount of sand north of 3rd Avenue than was intended to be distributed for the rest of the beach. And they awarded the contract to Weeks Marine. Council failed to monitor the work of Works Marine, and substantially less sand, other than the token amount of sand, was actually placed north of 3rd. And council now states that the contract, or CPE now states that the contract is complete, even though less sand was actually placed above 3rd than was designed. So the question is, does council now agree with the consultant, the same consultant that got paid extra in 2020 to rewrite their 2019 final report to now include nourishment north of 3rd Avenue for a sufficient width beach goal? I contend that council now presides over a mess that they alone created. There is no need and no benefit, or very little, for pump sand above Third Avenue. I've walked the beach. I've seen how little sand is out there. I've seen how wide the beach is down at the bottom of the beach, down near the Kitty Hawk Pier. So again, an incredibly unfair MSD2. My contention is council has the duty to rewrite MSD2, redraw MSD2 to tax where the sand actually went. Tax the people that had the need and got the benefit. Don't tax people up here in MSD2 that got nothing out of this deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peabody. Next person that is signed up is Mr. Widmer.
Jim Widmer, 14 Wild Pony Lane. There's been some recent damage done to Chickahawk Property Owners Association land. It's at the edge of the turtle pond. Okay, so the turtle pond and what few turtles are left at the turtle pond have had a tough enough drought season, but this impairment now, curious what the town and or the property owners association's recourse might be to reinstate the property back to normal condition. I believe plantings will be required at the very least, but curious about how the town and the associations can come to meet and repair the damage that's been done to association land. Yeah, I've got pictures if you want any follow-up, but it appears the property at 57 Ocean Boulevard was the easement used to take out trees and planting. And it doesn't look good.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Third person that's signed up is Debbie Newberry. Good evening, Debbie.
Today, I wanted to just bring up beach nourishment also. I wanted to start with, I was never for beach nourishment, but that actually is neither here nor there as we're moving forward. The town wanted it. It went forward, so I support it at this point because we paid for it. And that is my biggest concern, is that we paid for this, and I want to make sure that the entire town or the entire beach gets what they deserve sand-wise. It doesn't seem that that has occurred to this point, so I'm hoping it will. And so basically, I didn't want to point fingers at anyone. I don't know whose actual fault this is, but I am hopeful that the council will be looking closely at this and resolve the issue and will tell us how and when the upper beaches or the northern beaches will get the sand that they seem like they did not get during this project. It looks like the southern beaches got maybe extra sand than we were supposed to. So hopefully we will find out from you how this will be resolved. And when it is resolved, and hopefully more sand is being put in the northern beaches, how are we going to make sure that there's no additional damage done to our beaches as they come in with all this heavy equipment and they're going up and down the beaches? And then thirdly, and probably most importantly, if we are getting more sand in the upper beaches, I sure as heck don't want to pay any more. We're paying enough for it. Our taxes have gone up to pay for this. We thought we were getting one item. It looks like we've got something different. I'm not sure. I'm hopeful that you will be talking about this today and how we'll resolve this issue, or at least explain to us how everything was done appropriately, even though it doesn't appear that way. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. We have a second public comment period, so I'll just, if anybody else wants to talk, you can talk at that public comment period. We'll move on to our next old business item. Consideration of RFQ for the Juniper Trinity Culvert Bridge. I think Cliff is going to talk to us about this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. For a while now, you all have been discussing options and desire to get the Juniper Trinity culvert replaced with a bridge and not put back a culvert in its place. And so back in September, you had previously requested that we bring to you a proposal with 3 options. And you heard that in September. Those 3 options, the alternatives presented were a cast-in-place reinforced concrete flat slab bridge, a cord slab bridge, and a prefabricated buried arch structure. And you all selected the cord slab bridge, instructed us to go out and get RFQs from engineering companies that could design and build this cord slab bridge. And so we did that. We submitted RFQs, requests for qualifications. We received 4. We received them from SEPI, Kimley Horn, TGS Engineers, and Stewart. Staff ranked and evaluated these proposals. Myself, the deputy town manager, the town engineer, and the public works director individually scored these based on company experience and qualifications, professional experience, project understanding and approach, and quality assurance and quality control. What you can see that in your packet, you'll see that Kimley Horn scored the highest of the 4, followed by SEPI, and then TGS and Stewart received the same score. So we're recommending now that you authorize us to go back and negotiate a contract with Kimley Horn with a fee that we can, fee structure that we can bring back to you to approve as the next step.
Okay. Thanks, Cliff. Any idea timeline-wise, what do you see if we award the?
I think it would probably be, I don't know that we could bring something back as early as January with the holidays coming. It might be February, or if you were to have a mid-month January that we could present to you a contract. And in speaking, part of the evaluation, it looks as though there's staff time in Kimley Horn to be able to address this. But if I give you a date of when I'd come back with a bid, I'd be guessing, and I'm afraid to do that.
I guess one of the things I picked up when I was doing my review was it seems like some of these other projects that are somewhat similar to ours had a pretty long timeline. I mean, like 2.5 years. And I don't know exactly when they start the clock, but I mean, I just think these kinds of projects do take some time.
Yeah, obviously, when we come back with that construction proposal, we'll have all of that hammered out. But you're right, some of these projects can linger on. That's a highly traveled road that we can't afford to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this company did the South Dogwood
Yes, sir.
Bridge. And how long do we recall how long that was down? Because that was a pretty extensive one too.
About a year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Matt thinks about a year.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Yeah.
I know it was a while, but we do have experience with them.
Okay. Council, any questions for Cliff?
And this will be for option 2 that we
Yes,
took in our
sir,
meeting.
for the cord slab.
All of these companies are out of Raleigh. Is that pretty normal? There's nothing even closer?
That's,
Well, this one has a Virginia Beach office, I think. Kinley Horn does too.
I thought they had something in Elizabeth City too.
Or maybe, yeah.
but that's about, well, I mean, I'm kind of surprised we didn't get anything from Tidewater area.
Yeah.
But if you look at their experience, they're spread out through the state. All 4 of them have done bridges in each one of the districts and DOT. So I think maybe they focus.
So from the timeline, are you talking about from when we let the engineering contract to when it's completed? Or
Well, that wasn't clear from my review.
Yeah, I mean.
What it
that's
includes.
what I'm wondering, and I know we're involving the homeowners right around there.
Right.
As well, because it does impact some driveways pretty much there, what we're thinking about. I mean, is it from when we let the contract for construction till it's done, or is it when we get the engineers on board? We decide the price is right.
Well, I think there's both. There's two. The time, if we can get the engineers on board, maybe in February, their review time shouldn't, this isn't something that should take them a long time
Yeah.
to design. I mean, and they have a lot of the experience in this area and they've done work here before. So that, I'm less concerned about a timeline of getting that turned around. The construction is a whole nother.
Right.
Well, I think another challenge in there is the permitting too, because I think in our earlier conversation with them, that was going to be a possible extent
It's
time.
not navigable right now, but if you want it to be, you have to go through a permitting process.
It's pretty extensive, the
Yeah,
permitting hoops.
yeah. With
CAMA,
CAMA.
Corps,
CAMA permit.
wetlands, marine fisheries, even the
Yes.
Coast Guard, I think, believe it or not.
That's right, yeah.
What was your take on the fact that we had 4 submissions? Were you surprised? Was it less than what you thought we would get, or?
I went back and since Rachel Patrick was the Public Works Director at the time of the Tall Pond Bridge and got some opinion from her. And in the position she's in now, this was unsolicited, but she shared that there's a lot of work going on and they're just busy.
So
And
4 was
so-
probably a pretty good,
Yeah, I thought we'd get more than that, but I just chalk it up to there's a lot of work going on.
okay.
You think there's any Inflation Reduction Act money available for this?
Unfortunately, no,
Fortunately?
no. This is I think this is going to be a standalone for us.
For us.
Yeah. Ironically, once we put it in, and hopefully we don't have to replace it for many, many years, then I think it would be eligible.
That's what we got now.
Okay.
Any other questions for Cliff concerning the RFQ? Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate it. Council, is there any discussion you wanted to have over making a recommendation?
Yeah. The fact that they've done work in town before, I think is, and they did that Tall Pine Bridge, which was holding up well. So I have no qualms about recommending them.
Yeah, I think it's a good, I think it's a good choice. I think others would have been okay as well, but these guys did the preliminary for us and they did Tall Pine Bridge, so I'm comfortable with them taking the lead on this for us.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to negotiate a contract with Kimley Horn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any last discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, old business, beach nourishment update. Cliff.
First, I want to thank Miss Becky Harrell. She lives directly to the south of the Trout Run beach access, and she has endured a lot over this project with noise and coming and going. And I just appreciate her working with us, her patience. And so I just want to put that out there as a thank you. So as you all know, the project started on October 7th. It concluded, or at least the last load of sand that Weeks pumped was done so on the 22nd, the early morning of the 22nd. There were only 9 days of downtime for weather. I wish I could stand here and we would be in a celebratory mood and fashion, but unfortunately we're not. I understand completely the accountability that the town has to the taxpayers and to those in the MSDs. But at this time, last Wednesday, we heard from the engineer, we heard the news that was reported, and we've got questions that we need to get answered. It's a complicated process. There's a lot of contracts as associated with this. There's a lot of moving pieces. And so we've got some work to do, but I want to promise you that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we get what we should have gotten and that there's a remedy to this. Weeks and CPE have both been agreeable to meeting with me later this week so we can start those discussions. And I wish I had more that I could report and say, but it's been less than a week since a lot of this was put out there. So we got some work to do, and we're going to do it.
Is the county behind
Yeah.
the town
Yes, I've had,
in supporting our
Yes, sir.
questions with what's going on?
yeah,
They're
that,
paying the bill at the end of the day.
right, it's,
We all are, but I mean, they are in control
They're
of
the
the
bank.
funds that are dispersed.
yeah, they're the bank as they refer to themselves as. But I've had a couple of conversations with the county manager about how that works because they entered into the contract for all 4 of the towns. And so they have said they'll stand with us and work with us for a result. So, yeah,
Any other discussion by council now? I've had several emails from folks, different locations in the town, and my answer is very similar to what Cliff's just said tonight, which is, we have the county in agreement with us. We are working through the issues. It is complicated, and we're not going to be satisfied until we're satisfied. So that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
I will say, if you go out to the Kitty Hawk Pier behind the Hilton and walk out there and look at the south end of the beach, you'll see a really wide beach. Because I did that day before yesterday, and it was impressive. So.
Cliff, I just want to say thank you for the effort you put into this over the last 3 weeks and getting the information that we've been asking for you pretty much rapid fire and getting it from the contractor and the engineer back to us in a timely manner. So thank you for all that effort.
thank you.
There's a lot of fact finding and he's been digging hard. So,
Yeah, it's an eye-opening experience to be, all the data that's involved with this kind of project. It's really a complicated project. There's a lot to it.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and I think Cliff has done a great job trying to stay on top of it and trying to keep us informed as well as our public.
Well,
So
I
I
think it's
appreciate
great we're getting most of the decision makers in the same room to decide how we're going to do it, how it's going to come out, rather than pointing fingers.
And I do want to recognize the Civic Association for use of the accesses. I'll thank Becky Harrell as well for putting up with the noises, as well as the folks that are on the north side of Trout Run as well. And, because it was a big deal. It's a lot of work to get one of these projects done. So thank you.
Thank you.
To all the partners. All right, moving on, new business. We have the 2023 Town Council meeting schedule resolution. And I think all we need for this is a motion
to
to approve, unless we're going to amend it.
Well, I move that we approve the 2023 council meeting schedule as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion needed for that, council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our last new business item is the Historic Landmark Commission appointments. Wes, did you want to walk us through this real quick? Or at your convenience?
Yes, ma'am. The terms for 2 positions on the town's Historic Landmark Commission will expire on December 6th, today. And terms for 3 positions will expire on December 11th. All members except for Mr. Richard Perkins have indicated that they would like to continue serving on the HLC. Alternate member Michael Guarcino has indicated that he would like to fill the vacant position created by the departure of Richard Perkins. So staff recommends reappointment of Lee Whitley and Christine Kiusis with terms that are valid until December 6, 2025. And we also recommend reappointment of Charlie Andrews and Tony DiBernardo with terms that are valid until December 6, 2024. And then lastly, we recommend appointment of Michael Guarcino to position D with a term that is valid until December 6, 2024. And that is to replace the seat created by Mr. Perkins' departure.
Very good. Thanks, Wes. Any questions for Wes? Don't see any. I want to take this moment to thank Richard Perkins for his service on our Landmarks Commission. Thank you, Richard. And council, can I have a motion?
So moved to reappoint Lee Whitney and Christine Cassis with terms that are valid until December 6, 2025. Reappoint Charlie Andrews and Tony DiBernardo with terms that are valid until December 6, 2024. And appoint Michael Guarcino to position D with a term that's valid till December 6, 2024.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We appreciate the work that the Landmarks Commission does for our town. We have general public comment, session 2. We have one person signed up. Debbie, did you want to speak again? Okay. Anybody else want to speak? Seeing none. Council business. Let's see. We have no more meetings in the month of December, correct?
Correct.
Yay. Happy Christmas and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone. And our next meeting will be on January the 3rd.
Yeah, which we just approved.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Does that sound right? January 3rd.
January 3rd at 5:30.
All right. Mark, do you have any business for us tonight?
No.
Leo?
Don't have anything to update on tourism board because the county had problems with systems and getting the accurate numbers to us. So I don't have anything to report on that. Just two others. One is on behalf of the town and the Knights of Columbus, I want to thank those that attended the Veterans Day ceremony here. We had to move it inside because of the weather, and it really worked out quite well. And it was full, and we had a great speaker. So for you that were here, thank you for attending. I know the fire department really supported it, so thank you for that. And tomorrow is December 11th. That's Pearl Harbor Day. Some of you were, and some of you weren't. I was only 6 months old at the time, but we need to remember that particular event, one of many that we've had in the history of our country. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Leo. Matt?
Happy holidays.
And I'll just say there's a big event on Sunday, December 18th with Santa and one of our Southern Shores Volunteer Fire Department fire trucks. So go out and see Santa and donate a Toys for Tot. I think that's awesome that we're reviving that tradition here in town. All right, so I will make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A and 3, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A and 5. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're in closed session.